Hi everyone, so it's Rebecca here and I'm going to do a video on my favourite species at the moment. And I'm not going to film myself because I've just got back from work and I do not look like nice at all. So this video is going to be on Ancistrus ranunculus. And they're also known as the Medusa Pleco, and you can kind of see why. This is a male in the foreground view, and this is one of my... Ooh, it's a bit difficult to see. There's also, if you down there's another male, I think, and there's another one there. They are in with Ancistrus macropithalamus, Ancistrus L359, and Ancistrus 255. So, what is Ancistrus ranunculus? Ancistrus ranunculus is a species of Ancistrus, as given the genus name, from the Rheozingu. They aren't like normal Ancistrus, and they are likely to get revised into a new genus. They are very ventrally flattened, so they are very flat compared to most Ancistrus. They still have tentacles, but both males and females express these tentacles in large amounts. They do not go up the board of the head so much as with other Ancistrus, but rather they tend to be around the rims and they will branch. Females still have quite substantial tentacles. You can see that they're just different looking. They have that weird appearance and they are quite diverse in appearances. I have put a algae thing down. Whether the others eat it is another thing. Oh, you can see another male just popping out there. So, as I said, they come from the Rheozingu. This does mean that they need higher temperatures. So they are very good with Hypancistrus Z, but they actually come from the same area. So they're found together. They do need around 28 degrees. Most likely between 28 and 29 degrees. This is very high and it does limit tank mates. You can see one where it says in Persia, going to go bother them and try and get some algae wafers. So as I said, they are quite diverse and this does depend on the region. So I have two different variants. I have the normal variant and I also have the spotted variant. The spotted variant I am mentioning is not the same as Ancistrus L255, which I will show here now. The spotted variant of Ancistrus ranunculus I will put here now. And you can see that it's got much smaller spots. They're kind of glittery. And I find the males express them much more than the females, as it's a male in the video I just showed.
Much smaller spots. They're kind of glittery.
So
and I find
they do need softer, more acidic water. The higher temperatures, they really don't like change. So cold water changes are preferably avoidable, but you don't want to be swinging water perimeters either. And so moving them can be a challenge. They are actually listed as a very difficult fish to keep. And I would say they are a lot more difficult than Ancistrus xanthellus, the gold nugget. And most people I know with the gold nugget, I know two people with an adult, including me. And I know a lot of people. Because Ancistrus xanthellus is feeding, and these guys, it never is really listed why they're so difficult to keep. And I kind of sort of experimented a little, and because originally I did have a female and my heater broke and it crashed the temperatures straight down to 24 constantly, which is way too low. So instead I thought I'd do a little bit of research, and when I talk to stores, they always say they have no issues with Ancistrus ranunculus. So it's a bit like why are hobbyists having issues? Because most people I know who've had any of the Ancistrus ranunculus type, they die really easily. I had Ancistrus macropithalamus at the time, and so I had them, and they are social in a group. And if you read the original description, which I will put in the description of the video, it lists this species as gregarious. They are social. They like to be in a group. They are benefit of others. They do. I've never actually seen them fight. They seem to sit in similar places in the woodwork, and I have a lot of woodwork there. And they all kind of socialise together in that area. So I think the key is you've got to buy them in a group, and this is the problem. Ancistrus macrophthalmus can be a lot more forgiving, but buying them in a group is expensive. These, I paid £100 for 4 of mine, and that was on discount. So it adds up, and I have the benefit of also having the macrophthalmus, the L259, in that tank. So they kind of all benefit off each other, even though we probably do recognise each other as different species. So they're just unique looking. There's nothing really to say what makes them unique. If you just look at them, you can see they're slightly different. And he's got what looks like a strand of poo over his head, so excuse that. Don't know, it just looks like a stick, but yeah. And they are probably the most challenging Loricariidae a hobbyist can keep. People have read, then there's people in Holland that have. They will prefer loads of hiding places, lots of flow, and that sort of thing. I have mine just of what woodwork piled up. Pleco caves. I don't want to breed them particularly, but if they breed, it would be beneficial. I'd rather not the 2 different types I have hybridised. So the spotted type is, as they grow, Ancistrus ranunculus actually is, as a juvenile, has spots with kind of small banding, like a lot of other spotted Ancistrus, but these are very different. And these will lose the banding and spotting quite easily, apart from the spotted variant, which has appeared in stores recently, and they are certainly from a similar area. But as I should stress, this is not an easy species to keep. Don't make the mistake of doing no research, because you should do as much research like any other fish, but particularly with any Loricariidae and these, research, because they are difficult to keep. I would also be careful when you're buying them. A lot of Ancistrus ranunculus are actually not. The Ancistrus macrophthalmus does come into stores as Ancistrus ranunculus. And I have shown, sorry, my laptop nearly ran out of charge, and I'm just trying to adjust that focus. Oh no, it's even worse. Anyway, so Ancistrus macrophthalmus does get sold as Ancistrus ranunculus. Ancistrus macrophthalmus comes from Colombia, so if you can ask the store on where the shipment came from, that will be a major clue. Whereas these guys come from the Rio Zingu in Brazil. They are also, Ancistrus macrophthalmus has really big eyes. It's more of a deeper fish. It looks much more alien. And the tentacles, I find, don't grow particularly. They're quite small. It is generally spotted, and the spots are larger. They are a lot smaller fish in general. Anyway, thank you for watching. I was trying not to ramble on too much, and I hope it's informative. If you're looking at getting a species, if you want one that's easier to care for and you don't need a group, I would look at even the common Ancistrus, or start looking at the starlights, Ancistrus punctatus, Ancistrus dolichopterus, and is it, I can't remember L numbers that well. So yeah, there are plenty of other Ancistrus around. These might be reasonably common, but they are not a forgiving species. They do need a large tank, a lot of flow, and by a lot I mean a lot. So there are plenty of other species, and sometimes they're just a challenge. I've they're my favourite. I like the alien sort of look to them, and I think they're brilliant fish to watch, keep and understand. Their original description is fascinating to read because they weren't described too long ago. Anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry about rambling on for so long.